Hello everyone, welcome to Risk Roundup. Each one of us across nations currently stands on the verge of the most turbulent and transformative period in all of human history. As the computer code, connected computers, internet, advances in technology, and the rapidly emerging technological convergence creates a technological tsunami. It is fundamentally changing human lives and the very meaning to be a human. So irrespective of a stone age, industrial age, digital age, or the coming space age, technology has always given us the necessary tools through which we can address the challenges related to being human survival and sustainability. Now, since technology is embedded in everything we as individuals and entities across nations, its government, industries, organizations, and academia, in short referred to as NGIOA, have done in the past, do today, and will do in the coming tomorrow, it is fair to say that technology is built into every single interaction that we, the humans, have today and will have in the coming tomorrow. Since the technology gives us the foundation for human survival and sustainability, it is fundamental that we understand which technologies are trendsetters and which technology trends are helping to change the human ecosystem as we know it in cyberspace, geospace, and space, in short referred to as CGS. So to discuss the technology trends further, I'm delighted to welcome Christian Kromme to Risk Roundup. Christian is an expert in disruptive technologies, a futurist, and the author of the best-selling book, Humanification, Go Digital, Stay Human. He's based in Netherlands. Welcome, Christian. We are so very honored to have you on Risk Roundup.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
Wonderful, Christian. So a discussion about the technology trends is to predict the future of humanity. It is about understanding how the technology trends, disruption, and the associated transformation impacts the human condition, human survival, and sustainability in the human ecosystem of cyberspace, geospace, and space. So based on the technology trends you see, what seems to be the future of humanity?
I think a very bright one. I believe that technology is some kind of glue to glue people on a massive scale together into one single organism. Just like the cells in our body are working just like one single organism and work in harmony with each other, I believe that we humans will also go into a future where we will be able to interact real time with each other using advanced technology, and therefore unite and organize like one single organism. And I think that's a wonderful future.
Yes, I hope so too, and I think so too. And what you just said about being the glue, technology provides, the structure of glue and the collective vision that we can develop, collective efforts, collective sharing ability, collective intelligence, collective risk intelligence, everything that we are able to gather now based on the technology trends is no doubt, going to give us a really good future if we are able to manage the security risk that emerges with it effectively. Now, you seem to be interested in understanding the evolution of technology transformation. And with that, the evolution of humanity and the biology behind our technology evolution. As you study evolution in technology as well as humanity, what parallels do you see between biological and technological developments, revolution and evolution?
Well, when I studied the past of our evolution of biological organisms, I discovered that there were 7 big disruptive waves of change. The first wave was about individual cells who start to develop some kind of interaction with each other, language, communication skills. They start to share some kind of information and start to gather in groups. And they start to form communities. And these communities start to grow over time and became bigger and bigger, just like companies and cities do today. After a while, these communities became so big that they need some kind of infrastructure to manage all the building blocks and the energy and the waste products in that organism, just like we do in our cities. So organisms start to develop a digestive system and also a vascular system, an infrastructure that helps them to grow even faster. That was the second big wave. Then the third big wave was about organisms became so big that they need some kind of information structure or information network. And they start to come up with nervous networks. First, small networks that connected small parts of the organism, but later on a central nervous system that connected the entire organism. So they were able to manage where nutrition should go to, when building blocks or building materials are needed, or where waste products and when waste products should be collected. After a while, these organisms start to become bigger and more advanced and more complex, and they were fully managing their own information supply or information flow. So they need some kind of automation. So they came up with the next biological revolution. It was the reptile brain. That's the brain we still have in our head. And the brain is responsible to automate all the biological processes in our body. Your heart is already beating in the morning. You don't have to boot it or start it up. Your digestive system, all your organs are working. They are fully automated. So our focus or our attention outwards. And that was the next big step for evolution, is that organisms start to develop a limbic brain, or the social brain, or the mammal brain that helps them to develop in groups or flocks or hives, and it enables them to develop on a cognitive level within a group. Share emotions, see emotions, and learn from each other in an accelerated way. After a while, organisms start to develop the neocortex brain. That's the brain in our skull, which is, I think, one of the latest developments. And it helps us to see patterns, recognize patterns, and react to those patterns. So learn and adapt in real time. And the last biological upgrade is more of a software upgrade. It's a prefrontal cortex. It's in the forefront of our head, and it helps us to, which are not there yet, so we can imagine an alternate reality. For example, I was sleeping tonight and I get wet, so tomorrow I want to sleep dry, so I imagine a house or a roof above me, and I can also execute it. And it's also called the executive brain, or the CEO brain. So what I discovered is these 7 waves also produce 7 different species, multicellular life, organisms with digestive systems and vascular systems like plants and coral reefs, for example. Then larger organisms like jellyfish, which are more complex and have a nerve system, reptiles, dinosaurs, mammals, apes, and finally human beings. What I discovered, if we look today, we going through the same kind of waves, disruptive waves. But now it's not cells and biology, but humans and technology. And the first big wave was around 2000 BC, when people start to develop advanced language skills. We start to share concepts, ideas, and there the big agricultural revolution on a global scale was there. And that was the first big technological revolution. That helped us to create small villages, communities that grow over time, bigger and bigger. And after a while, we discovered that we need some solid infrastructure to make these communities grow even faster. So what we see around 1800 is that we start to develop very solid infrastructure. We started to develop heavy industries, the vascular system, and also oil pipelines, railroads, and an energy grid that's like the vascular system of a body. So you see the waves are coming back. When we discovered electricity, shortly after it, we discovered that we also can send information over electricity lines. So there was the information or the communication revolution, where we start to develop landlines, where we can send small information like telegraph messages, but later on telephone, radio, television, and today our broadband internet as we know it. In the 60s, 70s, 80s, last century, we discovered that we were fully busy with managing all these information flows via satellites and other devices. Then we start to develop to automate it. So we start to develop chips, integrated circuits, operating systems, software routines that help us to automate all the technological processes within the computer or within companies. And the last big wave that we have seen or experienced is started around 2000, when we start to connect all kinds of software all over the world, and where the internet came in to life, as we can say it. And we can compare that with the mammal brain or the limbic brain from organisms. But now we have social media like Google, YouTube, Twitter, and stuff that helps us to connect on a global scale. So now it's not cells that are connected, but human beings using advanced social networks. And I believe that we are now in the forefront of the next big wave, the sixth wave. And that's about some kind of virtual prefrontal cortex in the cloud. And now we are talking about machine learning, deep neural networks, or artificial intelligence, they call it. And I think humanity or organizations as a whole will now be able, just like the first organisms with a neocortex, to learn and adapt in real time. So commercial or non-commercial organizations will soon have some equivalent to a neocortex brain that helps them to learn and adapt to market conditions in real time. And finally, I think the seventh wave is all about a virtual prefrontal cortex. So organizations, I think, will be able to visualize new products on a massive scale, just like we can imagine things in our head. And things like augmented reality, mixed reality, virtual reality will be, in the next decade, will be of such a high quality that it is indistinguishable with our real world. And I also believe that we will have the ability to co-create or execute these visualizations and build them using advanced co-creation platforms where hundreds or millions of people are coordinated using advanced artificial intelligence into harmonious next generation network organizations. So these 7 waves in biology are currently repeating. And if you zoom into each wave, then you see also the same pattern. So also on a macro scale, but also on a you see the same patterns written. And that's we can have a good sense of where technology will go next and how fast it will go there and how many time we will have to adapt. And I believe that the next wave will be about 8 or 9 years. I think something is coming at us really fast, and we should be prepared as a society, but also governments and organizations should be really prepared for the next big wave.
Absolutely.
Because things like
Yes, you are right that we have to be prepared, and you gave a really good, analysis about the 7 waves and how the technology has fundamentally changed the human behavior and human evolution and where we are going and how the advances has happened, how we have developed and how we have evolved over the years. Just like if we look at the industrial age, it liberated us, the humans, from doing so much of the physical work because machines took over. Now, with these artificial intelligence, it is liberating our human mind from doing too much of the mental task. So that is also, helping humans reach the next stage. Now, human bodies and our thoughts and behavior are, as you say, are the fundamental pillars of humanity. So how do you see them evolving in the coming years when we have the technology like BrainNet? People are, visionaries and futurists are saying that internet is likely to be replaced by BrainNet, and we will be able to transfer our emotions just like we are, typing, words, and we will be able to communicate just through our mind. We won't need this internet. So how do you see that 8th wave? I think the 8th wave, if we are going to have that, probably is going to revolve around the BrainNet, where we will replace internet with the BrainNet. What do you visualize of that? What will happen as a collective human society?
Yeah, I think the 8th wave is wave 1 of the next 7 waves. So it's like an octave of music or light frequencies. They also have octaves. And when the last one is there, the first one of the next wave will start. But I believe that eventually technology will help us to rediscover what it is to be a human being. And I think that we are much more capable of creating things and collaborating with other people than we think that is today possible. Today we have smartphones and very cold technology, and I believe that technology will evolve to much more biological. It will become much more like our own body. and will enable us to think about things and transport these thoughts over the web and emotions also. And it will feel very natural. I think today technology is very unnatural. Everyone is watching at his smartphone. Technology is distracting us all day because Facebook and Google are trying to sell us ads and stuff. But I think in the future, technology will adapt to our needs and behavior, and it will feel very, very natural. We would not be able, I think, to distinguish where our body stops and where technology starts, because technology, just like the cells and biology in our body, it's one package. It's the same. It's not different. And I believe that technology will also go there, and that we will be able to communicate with other people on the other side of the world, and it will look like they are in the same room as you are. And we'll be able to talk to people in multiple languages without knowing all the languages, because computers will be able to merge all these differences and make it equal. So we can have one big workforce, one big creative force, and the seventh wave will be all about creativity. So people will be empowered on such a high level that we can do almost everything that we imagine. Because if artificial intelligence, for example, enables us to listen to us and really understand our language, a 4-year-old child can program an app or a new device simply by talking to the computer. And the computer will understand it and will 3D print his product or his imagination. So I think we will go to a new level of empowerment, which will be beyond what we can dream of today. It will be, I think, a whole new level of society.
So you think the seventh wave is going to focus around or revolve around the creativity because of the shared economy and shared tools that we are developing, like blockchain and all that gives us the power to do everything in a collective manner. So the vision that you are just describing, where we all will be able to create a shared force, a collective creative army, or collective risk army, or collective, peace army, whatever, we want to have a collective form, we'll be able to do that. So that probably, let's see how this technology platforms that we are developing for the shared economy, that, where it takes us. But irrespective of, where it takes us, the future is happening around us. And the changes are so profound that from the perspective of human history, there has never been a time of such great promise, or a time where such grave security risk emerges for the very survival and security of humanity. So what would it mean for human existence, our survival and sustainability? Do we know and understand the impact of technology that is coming our way, or are we just so focused on developing functionality and functional tools and all different tools and technology that we are not paying attention to what is going to be the dual impact of it? These technologies that we are developing, the new ways of doing things that we are developing, how it is going to impact us individually and collectively? Are we rising to the challenge?
Yeah, I think with great power comes great responsibility. And what I've seen in my study is that every new wave of technology is solving a problem, but it's creating a new problem on a higher level. So the last wave, social media and sharing and stuff, enabled us to communicate in real time with other people all over the world, share information, learn from other people. But it also gave us fake news and an overload of information and people who are addicted to the smartphones. But the next wave, artificial intelligence, will solve a lot of these problems. It will create a new problem and new risks. And I think those risks will be... So we will be able, with using artificial intelligence and biotechnology, to modify our genes. But what is the risk of that? What will be the impact for humanity? A couple of weeks ago, I saw a small commercial about killing drones. So there are swarms of drones with facial recognition, and those drones are autonomous. So they were released above a city and preloaded with specific faces, and the drones killed all the people with that faces. So with smart technology, with great power comes great responsibility. And I think that we as a collective, as humanity, should be aware of those risks and react on them very soon. Last month we have seen the issue with Facebook and the risk with all the information that leaked to the wrong parties. When something goes wrong today, it goes very wrong. So with hundreds of millions of accounts or personal data. And in the future, that will be bigger. So the risks will be bigger. So the same with autonomous cars. If one Uber car drives into a human being and it kills that human being, then it's all over the news in the world. But if a human being is driving on another being, you don't see anything in the news. So everything that goes wrong will be magnified all over the news. And I think in reaction to that, the masses or the collective intelligence or the collective as humankind will react to it. Because everything today, if something happens on one side of the world, the rest of the world will know it within minutes or within seconds. So everything will be magnified, and also risks. And I think that we will react on a massive scale to solve these risks or to lower these risks to an acceptable level. But it becomes much harder because we cannot predict exactly where it's going. So we have to deal with the situation as it happens and then find out the best possible solutions to lower that risk. But I think that it will be much more explosive, just like for companies, if they have some kind of wrong behavior, then on social media it will explode and they will lose all customers. So risk management should be, I think, one of the top priorities of governments, of large corporations, but also of individuals. If you put your personal data on the web, then it will be there forever. So small mistakes, but they can chase you the rest of your life. And that is for individuals, for companies, but also for governments. Yes. So I think risk management should be top priority for all of these organizations and individuals.
Absolutely. And this is the first step that we all have to take to create that education and awareness. And we thank you for, helping to create that education and awareness. Now, as the ideas, imagination, and inner drive help innovators to innovate better tools and technology. For example, you just talked about the drones that has facial recognition technology, and that could, eliminate any human being on the earth without giving that human being, a fair trial, or any advance notice. So innovators will need to come up with those kind of, technologies that would, change the face at a moment's notice, so that the drones with the facial recognition cannot, eliminate them. So there is a lot of responsibility on innovators how to mitigate the risk, with such drone technology or with any destructive technology or any dual use technology that is coming our way. So as the ideas and imaginations and inner drive help the innovators to innovate better tools and technology, it is improving the way we live, and it will improve the way we live with new products and services and new platforms and new systems that will become indispensable in the future. Based on what you have seen so far, what technological advances you see are trendsetters for the coming tomorrow?
I think the biggest one for the next decade will definitely be artificial intelligence or machine learning, deep learning. So machines or technology that will able to learn just like humans do, by seeing things, by recognizing patterns, recognize or understand the environment that it's in, and react to that according to that. So I think that will be the biggest risk for privacy, we will see drones or autonomous cars, autonomous boats, autonomous airplanes. A lot of things will become autonomous with all the risks that are involved with that. So I think AI will be, the most influential trend in the next decade. And second, I think blockchain technology, so distribution of storage, processing power, smart contracts and stuff. So all the middlemen that we see today that are in between transactions, I believe that they will be marginalized within the next 5 to 10 years by the use of decentralized and distributed systems. And blockchain was the first of its kind, but I think that we will have finally a version 2 of a version 4 that will be much different from blockchain, but the same principles. And I think because the technology that will empower the individual the most, like artificial intelligence, blockchain is also a very empowering technology, and therefore it's very disruptive because people can take their things in their own hands again, do transactions with every people in the world that they are so they can do trusted transactions. All these things were not possible before and were managed for us by governments and large corporations. And when people will be able to do those things by themselves, I think that will have a huge, huge impact on the society as it is today, but also on businesses, how they work today. So I think those two are, I think, the most influential technologies. And of course, they affect all the others because blockchain will also enable the Internet of Things, big data and stuff. It will all be converging and merge into each other, into one big system. So it's all connected to each other, but I think if I choose two, then it will be AI and blockchain or distributed systems.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you on that because AI is the new electricity. It is going to fundamentally change everything in how we do things, how everything is done, across nations, irrespective of individual or, entities across NGIOA and blockchain. You are right about that. It is giving us the platform on which we can build the digital global age. So it is absolutely very fundamental, and it is going to wipe out the middleman, like you said, and it is going to help us create that shared economy that we all these young people across nations are so passionate about building. And once we build that kind of shared economy, what do you think is the collective vision, or will be the collective vision of human species? What kind of destiny these innovators and young people and these are trying to build with this shared economy using these technology tools like blockchain and AI? And where do you think we will go with that? And if our next evolutionary journey is going to be space age. I mean, based on what indicators we see right now, that asteroid mining and space, colonies and moon colonies and space adventures and exploration is increasing so rapidly, that where do you think we will need to focus if we are looking at the technology? Because technology is going to help us, take from the digital global age and take us to the space age. Because nanosatellites, if you see right now, there is democratization of space. And earlier only nations and their militaries and their governments had the power of launching satellites. Now pretty much any human being, any individual who wants to have the nanosatellite, they have the power to do that. That's the power the democratization of space and the technology behind nanosatellites is given us. So if space age is our next frontier, and if we are going towards the space age, then from digital global age where we are right now, what technology trends do you think that would be necessary to take us there?
In my book, I talk about S-curves. So in biology, seen from cells to organisms with trillions of cells, it's an S-curve. So in the beginning, developments are going very slowly. A lot of R&D is needed. Then when multiple systems are in place, the curve is going exponentially. And then after a while, it matures. And then we have a solid new organism, like the human being. It's a finished product. But also human beings in the beginning started in the beginning of a new S-curve. And there it's not about cells and biology, but humans and technology. And in the beginning, it took a long time, but after a while, when multiple systems were in place, like the Industrial Revolution, Telecom Revolution and stuff, we are now in the exponential part. And I think eventually, within 15 or 20 years from now, it will mature. And then we will reach the beginning of the next S-curve. And if you look at Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, or Richard Branson, for example, they are already pioneers for the next big S-curve. So they are already exploring space to start with. And finally, they will be able to explore other planets. And I think for now, we are in the beginning of the curve, so it's very hard to go out in space and to even go to Mars or to the moon. But I think 15 or 20 years from now, we will have technology that we will not be able to dream of today. I think we will be able to print entire space stations in space. And we'll go into space just like flying to another state in the US. It will be that easy. And the big entrepreneurs, the billionaires of today, are already building that reality. But it's still evolving very slowly. But I think in the next couple of years, when AI can be used to co-create with humans, new types of engines will be invented, and new kind of propulsions will be invented, because we can now mimic how physical processes are working on a biological, and also, so I think we will have inventions in a much higher gear in the next 5 to 10 years, and that will bring us technology that will easily bring us to Mars or even further planets or even remote galaxies. But I think if you look at the evolution, it started with subatomic particles. They united in atoms and they work together. They organized in one bigger module. Then atoms start to work together and they form molecules. So they organized again and they work together and they collaborated. Then these molecules start to form cells. These cells start to form human beings, and these human beings start to form a society on Earth, a humanity. And I think when that S-curve is finished, then we are one single harmonious entity. Then we will go to the next sphere and the next one and the next one and the next one, and then the same curve occurs again. So we will establish an infrastructure between those planets, then we will establish an information infrastructure, then we will automate the communication between it, and then we will go to the next curve and we'll go to a next solid state, I think. So, and that will be perhaps 80 or 90 years from now, it will go exponentially fast. So each stage is going exponentially faster than the previous stage. So I think future has a lot to promise.
Yes, it has a tremendous promise, no doubt about it. But see, so far, the evolution was all natural if you're looking at the biological species. Now, today, we the humans are no longer confined to what nature must offer. The evolution, we are not just depending on how naturally it's going to progress. The advances in science and technology has given us the ability and capability to create living things entirely from scratch. So you can pick, scientists with the CRISPR technology now, scientists can choose and pick, any gene, any DNA piece fragments, gene from either animals, plants, or human beings, and then, combine all of that together. And even the computer scientist, can, write some code and fill in the gaps and create an entirely new organism, new species from scratch. That is the power, CRISPR technology is giving us. So while what nature has given is still the foundation to our natural biological ecosystem, we the humans are now able to build on this foundation and create a man-made synthetic bioecosystem of our desire and definition. So I think the whole progression, how the evolution was happening, is going to be disrupted now. So based on these technology trends of CRISPR technology and associated, technology and tools surrounding it, where do you think the human ecosystem is going, and what does the human ecosystem will look like? Because we are no longer talking about just natural evolution.
Yeah, it happened before. If you look at the biological evolution, animals are most of the time always aligned with nature. They cannot go against nature. They cannot pollute the nature. If you look at humans, after the last phase of biological evolution, we are human beings, and we were able to demolish our Earth where we live on. So we start to work against nature, and now we have all the consequences of that. We have a polluted atmosphere, we have a polluted Earth, our natural resources are depleted. So we have a lot of issues caused by our irresponsible behavior. And I think that will happen again. We are today in the very early stages of creating synthetic beings, or we can modify our genomes and fix our genomes. Where that will go, I think in the beginning we will use it to restore and regain our health, to live longer. I think it's 30 years from now, it will be perfectly normal to be 150 years old or 200 years old. I think it looks very strange if you think about it right now, but I think it's a very logical result from what's happening today with biotechnology, CRISPR-Cas9, and in combination with artificial intelligence. So we can simulate and redesign living beings from scratch. So that will have a huge impact. But I think I'm wondering how society will react to it, because we are also able to clone sheep or human beings, for example. But it is not happening on a large scale right now because we are not okay with it. So I think these kind of technologies will push us to more ethical questions and will force humanity to rethink about what it is to be a human being. Do we find it okay to create new biological creatures or synthetic creatures or sentinel creatures? I think it's very unpredictable what will happen in that area, because it's not a technological limitation. It's more, I think, an ethical or a mindset shift that we have to make as a society to create some kind of society where these new creatures can be allowed or can have a life. And I think that's a very difficult area. I don't like to make predictions about it because it's
Sure.
very unpredictable where you're going.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that totally. But I mean, talking about creating different kind of human species is not a very comfortable topic. But CRISPR technology also does much more than that. I mean, that part we are talking, creating a human species or is far away probably. But before that, we have a capability now to create, any pathogen, virus or bacterial pathogen that can wipe, start a disease, the epidemic or pandemic that would wipe out the humanity also. That is possible. That is something that we have to address, because at this point, we don't have that effective sensor capability, and medical systems and health systems are not very effective in quickly, coming up with a solution like vaccine or how to treat it effectively very quickly. So those are also going to create very complex challenges. And not only that, I mean, sitting in one nation in the laboratory that somebody has created in its own basement with using this technology, somebody can wipe out the agriculture of another nation entirely. So there are very complex risks emerging that are very near term. We are not looking at just the evolution of humans or creating another human species. These are also very different kind of complex challenges that's coming our way because of this technology that we have developed. But the irrespective, I mean, if we talk about this CRISPR technology or any other technology, this technological disruption is ongoing, and it's coming so fast. This technological tsunami is coming at such a rapid pace, and this latest transformation is so unique because we are just using these products and services, but we are feeding information collectively on social media, on these social platforms, on sharing platforms, and we are creating sharing economy. We are using AI and blockchain. So basically everything that nations, its government, industries, organizations, and academia, how they were doing, we are trying to redefine and redesign all the systems. So how do you think the shaping of these new systems in the coming tomorrow is going to impact the current systems that we have? And are the decision makers across NGIOA, across nations, are they ready for facing those kind of disruption?
No, I believe the ruling governments, especially if the Western governments, are totally not prepared for what's coming next. I think they still think in a linear way, and they project that linear development into the future. But basically, our society is developing in an exponential rate, and they are totally not ready to solve these problems. And I think that governments and also large corporations will dissolve. I think they will transform into more of a network society. And the problems that we have to govern people or to create security within a society will also solved by these network societies. I mostly use the example of a flock of birds. A flock of birds is moving like one single organism, and researchers did a lot of research about how they behave. And they find out that these flock of birds are 99% more effective in avoiding danger or solving problems than the individual. So I'm fully trusting on that kind of research that a connected humanity will be able to solve very big problems. Yes, it's true. You can use these CRISPR-Cas9 technology to create, for example, viruses that only kill people with a specific genome or a specific skin color or hair color, or you can even colors of the eyes. So you can very nasty technology with it. But I think technology is a neutral thing. You can use it for bad, and I think when the collective has access to the technology, then it will be used for good. For example, the first GPS sensor was used in a cruise missile to send into a country to bomb some guys in a bunker. And today, GPS is in your smartphone, and it helps you to do all kind of good things for humanity. So technological adaptation will be much faster in the future, because if we can talk to technology, then we can adapt very easily to it. So we don't have to follow trainings or read manuals. So a lot of people, also older people, younger people, or disabled people, will be able to have access to advanced or exponential technology. And I think when technology is in the hands of the bigger community, of the greater community, then it will be used for good. So if people design specific viruses, then the community will be able to have a counter virus to solve that problem. Yes, I think these kind of things will start to happen. So on one side, the risks start to become bigger, and on the other side, we will have more capacity to solve these problems and to manage these risks. But in the beginning, I think it will be fluctuating more, and after a while, it will, I think, just like you see in more systems. In the beginning, you will have high biases, and later on, it will be under control, and then we will be able to manage that situation. But just like the autonomous car, it will go wrong, and it will go wrong badly. But after a while, we will be able to manage it and use it for good, I think. So I'm pretty convinced that.
Yes, absolutely. And I think there is a potential to use these technologies for good if we are able to define that system that controls it. Because let's say, with this decentralized network blockchain, if we use that effectively, and then IoT sensors, Internet of Things, and if we tag each and every item, manufacturing item, produced item, everything, then even if, somebody creates something new, based on the raw products that they have used, we will be able to quickly grasp, who is doing what and what kind of threats are emerging, and we'll be able to quickly come up with a response, because the power of collective intelligence is going to be so amazing and so advantageous, for the benefit of the humanity. So yes, while these, technologies are giving us huge, potential for risk and even threaten the very survival and sustainability and security of the humanity, we will have potential, like you said, that, we will be able to quickly come up with solutions based on the technology tools that the power that it gives us, like blockchain. And I hope that, we are able to tag these kind of important raw materials and products in a way that we will be able to quickly see, what kind of threats that are emerging. But how we humans will think and how we will behave, how we will experience things, and how we will perform in the future individually and collectively, and the implications to not only the current systems but the developing systems and way of doing things and industries, it's all changing so rapidly. And the human capability, human adaptability and power of managing change is not that strong. We humans are not quickly able to learn and unlearn, and that's it's very difficult for human to go through change so rapidly. And over the years, all the different waves that we have seen and all the different technology transformation or industrial ages that we have seen, they gave us a lot of time to prepare for every change that was coming. But these changes that are coming our way are so rapid that for the human capacity to adapt to it, to change, it's going to take a huge effort. So based on the technology trends you see, what do you think is necessary for us, the humans, to get ready, to be prepared to face the technological advances that's coming our way, to learn the new system, to learn the new way of doing things, and maybe tomorrow to be augmented into a superhuman being?
I believe that individual humans are pretty good in adapting to new situations. If you put someone in a different situation, it will be adapted very easily. The problem occurs when organizations are going through rapid change. And organizations, especially the ones we have today, are very solid. They are very rigid. And for them, it's very hard to change shape without break specific points. If you look at individual consumers or citizens, they have the newest smartphones every year. They have the newest software updated every few weeks using the App Store and stuff. But if you look at large corporations, it will take 5 years to have a new Windows version, for example. So individuals are pretty capable of adapting to this environment. But I think organisms can't. And if you look into the biological evolution, you have seen that large groups of organisms they didn't survive a specific period. And I think the same will happen today. We have dinosaur companies and we have large mammoth-like companies like the Facebooks. I think they are too big to go through this change. So I think companies will need to dissolve in smaller units, more agile, just like we see in the types of animals today. We don't have very, very big animals like dinosaurs anymore because they're not able to sustain themselves. And I think the same will happen with large oil organizations or oil corporations or energy corporations, large governments and stuff. I think this change will break them up into smaller pieces, smaller parts, and some will dissolve and some will stay alive and they will transform into new different shapes that can sustain in new time. So I believe that change is not a problem for the individual, but more for organizations, and especially organizations that were from previous waves. Just like the first wave is like the coral reefs, multicellular life, or banks and large governments, they behave in the same way as coral reefs. They're very solid, very steady. And we needed that to build upon because you cannot build a society on a government that is very agile. They need to be solid. But today we have new technologies like blockchain and AI that will help us to govern our society in a much more efficient way. So I really believe that these big, slow organizations will dissolve. They need to dissolve into network organizations empowered by technology. And what you also have seen is that these 7 waves that I describe in my book also are parallel with the Maslow pyramid. Maslow has the pyramid of human needs, and his previous pyramid, the first pyramid, has 7 different layers. The bottom layer is about survival, it's about basic human needs, and the top layer is about self-fulfillment or chasing our purpose. And what you see happen today, and what also happened in biology, is that more and more of these layers are automated, not by biology, but now by technology. So humans and humanity as a whole is pushed or advanced up in the Maslow pyramid and will be pushed towards our purpose. And I think if we were more empowered by technology, then we can follow our purpose and see what we really like to do and use that to be exponentially creative or exponentially productive or effective. And technology will augment us to do so. So basically, I think that we will go to a society where most of the people will do the things that they really like. And in our body, it's exactly the same. Each cell is doing its purpose. Your heart cell is not waking up in the morning saying, I don't want to work today. No, it's doing what it's like to do. It likes to pump blood. And I think that we will go to tribes, communities of people that are following the purpose and they want to make our society a better place, a world a better place. They use technology and a community to do so. So I think that's a very bright future. Yes, we will have some hiccups on the way to that future, but they will be necessary to get rid of our past, the slow system that we still have in our society, the legacy, as you will. And it's not a biological legacy now, but it's a technological legacy, and we have to get rid of it to enter the new world. And I also believe that underdeveloped countries will have an easier job because they don't have to go to all the stages. They go from no internet to smartphones with 4G internet. They go from no electricity to solar panels with Tesla batteries, for example. So they can skip the entire legacy that we have. And therefore, I think that countries, especially like in China, as we see today in India, they are now behind. They're already moving faster than we, the Western world, can keep up with. So I think that these underdeveloped regions in the world in a couple of years from now will be much more developed as the Western world if we don't change fast enough.
Yes, I think that is a very likely scenario. And I mean, there are so many technology trends that we have to talk about, like we have quantum computing, what it will do, and where the virtual reality, augmented reality will take us, and so many other different technology trends that are emerging, including the warfare that's happening not only in cyberspace. So not only cyber warfare, but electronic warfare that's happening, and space warfare that's emerging. So that a lot of things that needs to be discussed, but one thing that is very creating a lot of fear and panic in human beings across nations is the worry about what will happen when the moment when technology becomes smarter than humans, and when will we achieve singularity. So that is something that is causing a lot of fear. Is there Should they be fearful about when technology becomes smarter than humans, or should they take it that yes, we will have an excellent tool that will enable us to reach quick decisions and do things in a really smart way and efficient way. So what is your take on that? Should human beings be fearful about this?
We are always fearful for new technologies that challenge our existence. And I think artificial intelligence and robots really are challenging our existence. But I don't think that they will be smarter, or yeah, they will be perhaps more intelligent, but not more consciousness. And I think consciousness and intelligence are two different separate things. And you don't have to distinguish them because they're both different things. I think that we as a collective, connected by technology, will be start to behave like a hive mind, which is exponentially more intelligent than the individual, just like the flock of birds or swarms of bees and etc. And I think that is a good thing, because if we look at our body, our brains, the AI in the cloud, as we look at our brains, they are managing trillions of cells and they move in a coherent and harmonious way. And I think AI will basically do the same. AI in the cloud using quantum computers will be able to manage hundreds or millions or hundreds of millions of people to solve our world's or our society's biggest challenges and biggest problems. So I think, just as I said before, if technology is in the hands of the masses, of the entire community, then it will be used for good. And sure, there will be, if AI is in the hands of wrong people or a dictator, or I don't want to imagine what can happen, just like the killing drones or creating a virus that kills specific types of genome or cultures, for example. But I think I believe in the good of the masses. So if technology will be available to more and more people, accessible for more and more people, also in the developed countries, imagine when 8 or 9 billion people have access to these kind of technologies and they want to make the world a better place. Yes, there will be bad guys. I think it will be very hard to be a bad guy in the future, I think, because we will go into an area where things will be very transparent, using the Internet of Things, using blockchain. So it will be very hard to cheat or to operate in the shadows, because the shadows will be less and less there. So I think we are going into a bright future, literally, and yeah, I'm not so afraid. We will have our hiccups and we will have some big risks and we will mess up. But at the end, we will make it fine, I think.
Yes, I think there is a great power in collective intelligence, and when we build these new systems, with these young people all across nations build this new system that are transparent, that people can trust, and where there is accountability, there is a lot that can be achieved with the collective efforts based on this sharing economy. So, what would you like to tell our global viewers and listeners, especially those young minds across nations who are very passionate about making a difference, solving the problems, solving the problems not only for their communities, but for the nations and for the humanity? What would you like to tell them?
I believe that is a very, very beautiful time to live in, because technology is now enabling individual people to have massive impact. I believe 10 years from now, each individual will have the power to reach millions or perhaps billions of people. And if you have a good idea, or if you want a better place, or you want to solve some big problems that we are having today, Now it's a time to make that change, because there is so powerful technology at our fingertips. In 5 years from now, you can talk to a computer and it will obey and it will help you to solve your problems, using all the processing power and information on the web to solve your problems and to solve problems that we have as a society. So I think it's a time where we can restart to dream again and to imagine things just when we were childs. On our education, we learned that we don't have to dream or don't have fantasies. No, we have to do boring jobs. But I think it's time now to reopen that mind and be creative and to dream again, to have visions again, because the tools are available, and especially in the next decade, that will help us to become our fullest potential as individuals, but also as a humanity. So I think it's a very nice time to live in. And for younger people today, we are entering the business. It's more easy than ever to start your own business. In 2000, it will cost you $5,000 to start an IT business. Today, if you have a laptop or a smartphone, you can access the cloud and you can have access to all the information, all the processing power available in the world. So people are powered exponentially, and that's, I think, a gift that we have today, which previously generations cannot even dream that the power that we have today. So I think it's a wonderful time, and make use of it. I think that's the best advice.
Yes, you are absolutely right. Technology has given each and every individual the power to dream. They have now the capability to create this innovation and intelligence, and imagination is the key, because without imagination you cannot have that intelligence and creativity to create new things. And now based on this technology, on the back of technology, every individual across nation, they have the power to dream big and to create new things and to work on things that excites them, and what they are passionate about, not just to make money but to make a difference. So you are right, this is a very good time for these young people to be living in, and they can make a big difference. They can solve a lot of problems, and they can do good for the humanity, for our coming tomorrow. So thank you so much, Christian, for participating in this roundup today. We appreciate your thoughtful insight on technology trends, and our global viewers and listeners will benefit tremendously from the unique analysis on the 7 stages of disruption that will help them understand where humanity is going tomorrow, what is going to be our coming tomorrow. So even if a single individual or entity can understand the technology trends and disruption based on the understanding they received from the discussion we had today, this Risk Roundup dialogue has been of service, and we thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. So since what we do with technology matters for the human survival, security, and sustainability, discussing technology trends and understanding its impact is a fundamental need. Risk groups, cybersecurity, geosecurity, and space security risk research centers are created for this very reason: to identify, evaluate, and manage the security risk facing NGIOA in CGS, that means nations, its government, industries, organizations, and academia in cyberspace, geospace, and space. We at Risk Group believe that risk management, security, and peace, they walk together hand in hand. Those securities related to management of threats and peace to the management of conflict. Risk management is related to management of security vulnerabilities as well as management of conflict. It is not possible to conceive any one of the three without the existence of the other two. All three concepts feed into each other. We believe that the security we build for ourselves is precarious and uncertain until it is secure for everyone across nations. Tradition becomes our security, so if we build a culture of managing risk effectively, it will lead us to security, and security will lead us to peace. Let's manage the existing and emerging risks together. For more information on the Risk Roundups, to watch the Risk Roundup video webcast or hear the Risk Roundup audio podcast, please go to riskgroupllc.com and do not forget to subscribe and share. Until next time, I'm Jayashree, host of Risk Roundup, signing off. See you next time. Thank you.